No surprises.
Nope.
But a few things were wrong in the rumor mill. They got the battery size wrong.
And I'm really happy about that because when I read that what I had read specifically is that the battery would be less than the Note 5 and more on par with what you get just out of the box with like the S7 or whatever. And when I think of the Galaxy Note series, I mean, that's really far at the top of the list is bigger battery, full day, lasting for a full day, which is kind of what you need if you're relying on a device in, let's say, the enterprise or in a productivity environment.
Really only
I'm happy about that.
2 features that are distinct from any other phone costing less. I mean, I'm going to use as an example the OnePlus 3, the Axon, these $400 Chinese flagship phones. The 2 features are, well, several features, I guess, because you have to include pen, iris scan, and Knox, and the secure store. But those might be enough for people to say, I'm going to spend twice as much and go with a Galaxy Note, go with the big brand.
Did we get a price?
Did not, but that, to me, indicates it'll be the same $800 kind of, or $750.
All right. The thing about the Note users is that there's people who jumped on the Note at any point, much like you, Leo, are super loyal to it.
Yeah.
So it almost becomes where they're like, oh, I'm just gonna get the next Note. I have friends who are just waiting for this announcement because they want to see what the next phone they're gonna get is. And then you hope that you can bring over other people who are curious about it. Like a friend of mine who was an iPhone user was like, oh, I'm thinking of getting a Samsung phone. How's the Note? That was the first one out of the gate. So
it's seen as the kind of the top of the line, right? It's the best you can get.
Yeah.
It's kind of the limousine of smartphones.
But I mean, aside from the water resistance and the design touches, I mean, not terribly groundbreaking. I mean, it just seems as if they're bringing a lot of the other features from the Galaxy line over to the Note, updating it, and improving what the pen can do, making the tip smaller, the translation things and things like that. But nothing really mind blowing.
Highly incremental, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Although I have to say, I was really disappointed with the Note 5 that there wasn't an SD card. This was 64 gig, but there was no SD card. I survived.
We've got correction going on all over the place as far as that's concerned.
Yeah. They realized they made a mistake with the S6.
They said in the last event we listened to our customers.
Yeah.
But is this enough for you to run out and replace a Note 5 with a Note 7? I don't know. I think not.
Maybe not with the Note 5, but again, we're kind of, settling into this area where people are just really used to, I mean, unless you're really fanatical about this stuff, people are really used to lasting 2 years. 2 years. I mean, everything's set up for 2 years. You're going to get your updates for 2 years. Things just start to kind of slow down. At least in the world of Android, 2 years is when things start to kind of bottleneck a little bit, and you start to actually notice. Maybe it's time to start looking. Maybe it's time to start thinking about what the next step is. So for a Note, for a Note 4 user, I'd say so.
I'm thrilled to see the Type-C connector too. This really seals the deal that all the new phones will be Type-C. And thank goodness. Micro USB is gone. It means you can buy all new cables.
Right.
And finally dump micro USB. It also means you're going to have to throw out your old Gear VR. They said
just got one,
though, with an adapter, right? It must be a very short adapter.
They said that adapter that they're shipping in the box with the Note 7 allows for older devices. I'm curious to know if that actually applies to the Gear VR specifically, because they've got a new Gear VR for this. So
I think he mentioned. I think he said Gear VR specifically.
Did he? Okay,
but I think he did. Yeah.
If so, I missed that, but that would be nice to know.
Well, and note they're not giving away this time a Gear VR as one of the the premium. The premium, if you order tomorrow in the U.S., is a Gear Fit 2. Their smart band, which they showed very briefly on stage, or a 256 gig Samsung EVO SD.
Well, it's funny when they announced the Galaxy S7, they gave away the Gear VR, and it's that one you've got there, Leo, the older. And now we've got this new Gear VR, so they're not going to give away the new one,
Not yet.
Just got
That's
this
true.
one.
That's a good point.
Literally just a couple of months ago, right?
Yeah.
That's a really good point. Have you? So, I mean, as far as the Gear Fit 2 is concerned, have you had?
I haven't used it. I haven't seen it.
I haven't seen that either. I'm curious. Yeah, I think, and I'm curious to play around with the iris scanner, obviously. I think what I like about what Samsung has been doing for the last little while is that Samsung historically has been known for throwing everything in the kitchen sink into their devices and, I don't know, somewhere deep down expecting that users are going to resonate with all those features and everything. Meanwhile, I feel like a lot of people would get these phones and they'd see all these extra bloaty features and they'd never use them. And it felt kind of like a waste of time, a waste of focus for Samsung. Samsung seems to be focusing a little bit more around the things that might actually make a user experience better, that don't require a lot from the user to like buy into their vision. If iris scanning actually works well, seamlessly, like Florence Ion says on Greenbot, that it did for her, that might actually be a useful feature, and it wouldn't be like gimmicky like the Face Unlock was when Android rolled that out years ago.
Face Unlock wasn't very secure.
No,
and the Windows useless. Phone that used iris scanning was really a pain because you'd get messages closer, farther, up, down. And it took so long.
If it's finicky, you're not going to use it.
You're not going to use it. Same thing with fingerprint reading. And they are going to have the same Samsung home button, same Samsung fingerprint reader on the front. I wish they would kind of dump that. I'm not crazy about the physical home button. But,
yeah, me neither.
That's
their thing.
That's Samsung. That's life as it's in Samsung land.
And he did say that they've been developing this iris scanning technology for over 5 years. So clearly they waited till they felt as if they got it right after seeing the other missteps from other companies.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
Right.
For sure.
The new Gear VR, interestingly, this is according to Droid Life, also will support a lot of Samsung phones, including the S7, S7 Edge, Note 5, S6 Edge Plus, S6, S6 Edge, and the Note 7. So this is kind of one visor to rule them all.
All right.
So that's good news.
It's a sleeker design. It looks, I mean, I don't know if it's just the darker color as opposed to the white or whatever, but it just looks, well, she mentioned it's more ergonomic. But
yeah, and they're eliminating the top strap, which I think is kind of, maybe not necessary.
Yeah, I mean, doesn't that improve stability a little bit?
I don't know. It makes you look more like a dork.
Well, yeah, but you're wearing VR. I mean, it's just...
What are you going to do? There's nothing you can do, right?
Oh, you know what? I'm seeing a Verge thing. It looks like they do have the top strap. It's probably an optional thing.
Okay.
I'm guessing.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to have the top strap.
Yeah, for stabilizing.
Cardboard doesn't have any straps, right? You just
that's true, but you're holding that sucker to your face the whole time. At least
I think actually Google may turn out to be smart having done that because it's easy to, when you get a little queasy, just lower the. And it's okay. And I think that gives people kind of a. You feel a little trapped sometimes in these things.
Yeah.
And, I think that gives people kind of some reassurance that it's just holding on.
Galaxy Note 7 has 518 pixels per inch on the Super AMOLED screen. So probably going to look, about as sharp as they come for the most part in something like the Gear VR. Yeah. And also, not to mention HDR, high definition.
That HDR video and
or high dynamic range.
That's very interesting.
High dynamic range.
And the content deal with Amazon is interesting as well too. If that's a suggestion of what Amazon is going to be doing moving forward with a lot of their original content and producing in HDR and trying to roll it out that way, as Amazon continues to try to become they're fighting to become a media hub. So that's that. I thought that partnership was surprising.
Mm-hmm. Florence says that the TouchWiz interface is dialed down even more. They've been slowly doing that bit by bit over time.
Good.
And it has a blue light filter, which, of course, is a feature built into Android 7. But they're adding that as well, so you can read at night.
I do feel like they've been dialing down the things that I've criticized Samsung about doing. Like less about their suite of apps, less about all that stuff, and more about features and, Jason, like you said, things that actually will move the needle on someone who's looking to buy a new phone.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Well, there you have it. We don't have a price. We do have availability. It'll come to you on the 19th, but you'll be able to pre-order starting tomorrow with all the major U.S. carriers. And if you do pre-order tomorrow, you will have a choice of 2 premium items: the new Gear Fit 2, which is a band, not a watch, but a band with a kind of curved watch face, or a 256 gig SD card. They're smart to include that as a premium because it underscores the fact that this is one of the few phones that can handle an SD card that big.
And I like the windows are getting shorter between the announcement and the release date. My dream is that one of these days we see one of these and you go, and the phone is available today. Yeah. Like that. Like if they can keep getting that supply chain down to the point where they tied in with the announcement, it's interesting to see. But 2 weeks is not too bad.
Yeah. Before we wrap it up, just real quick, we've got flagship devices like the Note, which the Note 7, which we're expecting to be somewhere around the $700, $800 range. And then you've got all these that we were talking about earlier, like the Axon and the OnePlus 3 that's, bringing most of this stuff, maybe not all of it, but most of it for half the price. Is there room for $800 device, premium devices like this?
I'm guessing there is. Certainly Apple's not going to drop the price on their iPhone 7. And I think that the way you make it premium is with these little extra things like a stylus, like the Knox, like the iris scanner. And that's, that gives people a rationale for it. If you keep it for 2 years and it costs you twice as much, I don't know. That's an interesting question. These top high-end phones seem to still sell very, very well.
Yeah, I guess that's the overarching point is that Samsung is not. Again, Samsung has kind of leveled out a little bit and is doing okay once again, selling a lot of phones strongly on the S7 line.
The S7 was a huge.
That's an expensive line.
The biggest.
Yeah, Jason, I'd say they're doing better than okay. We were looking at this. We were talking about the sales numbers last week, and right now they've surpassed the iPhone. So I would say, if anything, Samsung's on a roll.
Yeah, I would say so.